Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, hey everybody, good afternoon. So in respect for everyone's time, we are starting at the top of the hour. Today we are hosting our webinar on what's new in Moodle 3.7, and I will speak for everyone on the eThink side that's on the line. We are really excited to be here. My name is Vanessa Royce. I'll be coordinating the session today. You'll probably have already noticed that you all joined in on mute, which is intentional. So if you're in the office and there's background noise, you don't have to worry about that. If you're grabbing a quick bite for lunch, you don't have to worry about that. So since you're on mute, please use the questions pane in your GoToWebinar control panel to address our team, ask us questions during the presentation. We are happy to answer you, and we will get back to you throughout the session, as well as try to reserve some time for QA at the end. Okay, so without further ado, who do you have with you here today? I briefly mentioned my name a moment ago. My title is Training Coordinator, but others here with me, they're going to give a brief introduction before they present. But just to quickly show you who's on the line, we also have Chris Pratt, a Client Care Analyst. Cindy Bishop is another Client Care Analyst on our team. And last but certainly not least, we have Daniel Heffley, Client Care Analyst. I noticed as we were sort of checking in and watching for people to join in, we have a few clients on the line, but I also see quite a few others who are not clients. So we just want to briefly let you know who in general you're meeting with today. eThink Education is a certified partner for both Moodle and Totara. That means headquarters of both of those open source solutions have given us their stamp of approval, which is much appreciated, obviously. And it also means we contribute financially to the growth of both of those platforms. What truly separates us is our service. We provide a fully managed service model, which essentially means we become the extension of our clients' teams. So if you're responsible for the LMS, we're responsible for the LMS. That means when a support request comes through to us, we go ahead and make any changes that you might need, as opposed to sending back just a user manual and telling you, good luck, let us know how it goes. So we're really there for you 100%. Our hosting is in the AWS environment. Our custom implementation process is very heavy on discovery. So we want to know exactly what you are looking to accomplish in your learning platform right now, and then 6 months from now, 12 months from now, etc. And we'll configure the LMS for you to meet those needs. Consulting. So if you've been to ATD, Dev Learning, Learning Technologies out in London, or really any of the other large corporate learning conferences, you've seen that there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of e-learning companies on the market that could provide real value to your organization. But it can be overwhelming to sort through those options. Our team will consult with you on which solutions may be most useful as you build out your learning ecosystem. And then last, content. So eThink now also provides a content solution. We offer both off-the-shelf content as well as custom content through a network of our trusted providers. So I mentioned what truly separates us from the rest is our service. We have a 99% client retention rate in over our 11 years of business. And I think anyone on the eThink side today on the line would agree with me when I say that we are all really dedicated to providing an excellent experience for our clients, and our support statistics prove that. So what else is the proof of that quality service? Well, we like to call it eThink Love. These are all quotes from our clients. They pour in daily, and we like to share them on Twitter to showcase the awesome things that eThink is doing daily. One of my favorites, I have to say, sorry Daniel, but is the last one. Thank you, Sir Daniel, great night of eThink, and I happen to know that one of our clients who mentioned that is on the line today, so just so you know, secret shout out, we really appreciate when that kind of love pours in. So I intentionally kept this short and sweet. With all of this said, I'll stop here with the promotion of who is eThink, because we want to show you what you came here for today, which is the new features. So Chris, I'm going to go ahead and pass over to you, let you go ahead and dive in. So I'm going to make you presenter here just a moment, and you'll be good to go. Perfect.
Great. See my screen okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Right. Hi, everyone. Thanks very much, Vanessa. As you said, I'm Chris Pratt. I'm a client care analyst here at eThink Education. I've worked with Moodle as an educator and administrator for around 15 years. And today I'm going to talk to you about some of the changes to the messaging in Moodle 3.7. So in Moodle 3.6, we saw the introduction of group messaging, which was a great inclusion. I'm sure you'll agree. In 3.7, we see some further enhancements of this area. So what's changed and how is it going to help end users? Well, as per the previous version, messaging is accessed via the speech bubble along the top. And you'll see here, you'll see the familiar window with a list of messages and options. The only change here that you'll see is the link at the bottom that now says See All. This takes you to a new 2-column layout messaging pane. And from here, you get a much better view of your messages, something I know that will be welcomed by those of you who are heavy users of Moodle's messaging features. Another new feature that I know will be popular is the ability to mute users or conversations. By muting someone, it will stop any email notifications. It doesn't, however, stop the notification in the top showing that there is a message to read, so you won't miss those messages that you're just waiting to see later. To mute a personal conversation, what you need to do is just go into the conversation, click on the triple dots, and select mute. And you'll be able to see the muted microphone icon that shows that that person or conversation is muted. To unmute them, it's simply the reverse. 3.7 also brings in a handy little feature where you can essentially message yourself. You could use this for drafting messages, making notes, or a to-do list perhaps. By default, you should see yourself in the starred messaging section, and here I am. Click in here and you can send a message to yourself. Like here, I've created a little reminder to complete the webinar. One little gotcha for you though is if you delete the last message in the conversation, you will also vanish from the list. So what you need to do is search for yourself again, and you're able to start the conversation again. It doesn't automatically reappear when you've deleted. And that is the summary of the new features in 3.7 with regards to messaging. So I will hand back to Vanessa.
Okay, perfect. So we're going over to Cindy now. Let me just go ahead and pass over to you, Cindy. Okay, lady, you should be seeing that now. Perfect.
Sounds good. Can you see my screen?
Yep, that's excellent. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cindy Bishop, and like Vanessa said, I'm one of the client care analysts here at eThink Education. I've been Moodling for approximately 6 years. I started counting that up and couldn't believe it, after being a teacher for 20. I'm always excited to see new and improved features with each new Moodle version released. I decided to do forums for you guys today because last year at the Moodle Moot in Denver, I did a presentation on how forums could be used to cultivate a community atmosphere within an online classroom setting. And it was during the Q&A portion that some individuals actually expressed thoughts that not much had changed in a while in regards to the functionality and features for the forum activity module, therefore they didn't use it much. Well, Moodle HQ has definitely heard our voices, and in starting in 3.7, there are some new features which I truly feel will improve the overall experience for y'all when using forums. The first one that I want to talk about is that users can now use the reply box to respond more quickly to a forum post. The reply box appears in line, which does look similar to when a user can start a new discussion within the forum activity. But if they would rather, they can still click on the advanced option in order to see the attachment box, which will look very familiar to them as it will contain the full version of the editing toolbar. The second feature that users now have is that they can actually favor discussions by either clicking the 3 dots to the right or by directly clicking the star on the left. By doing so, it moves that particular discussion to the top of the list under any existing pinned discussions. This will allow the discussions to be sorted by replies, last post, or when they were created. And we all know that in a perfect world, everybody can, aid from a little organization. So maybe this will help our users to be a little bit more organized. Also, teachers can now manually lock discussions within the actual forum, which is new in comparison to the past when a teacher would actually have to set that up within the forum activity when creating it. Now they can actually lock it within the actual forum, as you see here with the lock icon. The last feature that I want to talk to you about is that it's actually more created for those with the teacher role or other roles with the correct permissions. Instructors now have the ability to add a private reply in a forum. We all know that there are times that a public comment isn't exactly appropriate. So this new feature gives instructors the ability to reply privately to a user when it's necessary. So I know that mine is short and sweet. I hope that this will encourage you to use forums if maybe you've not used it in the past, as well as continue going forward. And back to you, Vanessa.
Awesome. Thanks, Cindy. I love what you just mentioned about, and let me go ahead and steal a presenter back from you. So one thing I was just thinking of actually earlier today when I was replying to some of the discussion posts in our eThink Academy is there are times when you want to send a private reply, and whether that's like a school-related thing whereby it's just more appropriate, or the question might not pertain to the larger group, but you still want to get a message back. So I found actually in my own experience earlier today how valuable that is. So thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so I just thought I would throw that out there because it happened today in live Moodle experience. But with that said, Daniel, I'll pass to you if you want to give a quick hello, introduce yourself, and then we're looking forward to hearing about the lesson module.
Oh, great, Vanessa. Thank you so much. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, looks great.
Awesome. Okay, so hi, everybody. My name is Daniel, and I'm also a CCA here with eThink. I come with over a decade of experience with Moodle and also from a educational background. And today I'll be presenting on some of the new features that have been added to the lesson activity with the introduction or the release of Moodle 3.7. That being said, I'd like to take a minute or two to talk about the lesson activity in general. And I'm going to demo a short lesson for you. From my experience, I have found that, well, sad to say, that the lesson module is unappreciated and underused. And so I'm hoping that I can enlighten you a little bit here with the demo. Let's get started. So what is the lesson module and what makes it special? Okay, well, the lesson module presents a series of HTML pages. These pages can consist of two basic types. They can be content pages or question pages. The students are typically presented with content, and then they're allowed to make choices or decisions based on that content. These decisions will take them on a different path, take them to different pages within that lesson. And so, like I said, it takes them on a unique learning path. So that's kind of what makes it special. The main difference between the lesson and other Moodle activities is its adaptive ability. So basically, the choices a student makes can show different responses and send the student to a different page within that lesson. So with enough planning, a teacher can customize the presentation of content or questions to each of the students with no further action required by the teacher. So just to recap, one of the things that makes it really special is its adaptive nature. And that leads me to my next slide, which is adaptive learning. So we're all familiar with this pedagogical concept. And so it's been around for many years, both in a traditional classroom and in face-to-face instruction, online instruction. And so basically, here are some great ways, some ideas that you can use the lesson module to include this adaptive nature, the adaptive learning. So you can do self-directed learning of a new topic. You can allow for different learning styles, differentiated revision guides, role play simulations, decision-making exercises, and interactive fiction, which I think is my favorite, and it's what I'm going to demo for you today. So I hope you will find it entertaining, but also there's so much more you can do with it. So that being said, I will now get into the new features. So with the introduction of 3.7, Moodle 3.7, students and teachers now have the ability to add files into essay questions. And so they can add images, audio files, video files. They can even record audio and video directly in the Moodle interface. And so here you see the little image with these new buttons. And so as I mentioned, you can insert images, insert audio and videos, record audio, and record video. And I'll be demoing all of this for you in the example lesson that I have for you. So now the example lesson and the exciting part of this presentation. As I mentioned, this is a fictional exercise. And so this is a choose your own adventure. And here I am logged in as a student, Joe student, and this is the first page in our lesson. And this is a content page. So this is where content is presented to set the scene, to set the stage. In this particular fictitious adventure that we have, it occurs in the future in a parallel universe, and you are a revolutionary and a political dissident in the kingdom of Ezalonia. And so let's go ahead and click to go to the next page. Now on the second page we have some additional content, and it establishes a scenario. And so this particular page is a question page, but as you can see, you can also present content with the question below that content. And so here, you have been detained and released by the regime, and so you want to know what you want to do now. And so the student is given a choice. So do they go and join their friends immediately, to join a protest, or do they decide to wait several days before going to join the protest? And so let's go ahead and select, let's decide to wait several days before we join to go to the protest. We're scared that we may get arrested again, thrown in prison. So we're going to be a little bit careful. Now, as I mentioned in the PowerPoint, depending on the choices a student makes, tailored responses can be given to that particular choice. And in this case, the response here is, well done. You joined the protest on this particular date, so on and so forth. And then you, as the political dissident, you blogged and tweeted about it. And so now you can progress on to stage 2. So here is some more content, but again, this is a question page. And so now another scenario. The police are now starting to seize activists, and you're in the square, you don't know what to do. So what do? Okay, you can go home until it becomes clear if the armies are moving to repress, or you can stay in the main square with your partner and family. Well, I like to think that, I'd like to call it safe, and I'm just going to go home until things become clear. Well, the tailored response here, unfortunately, is that by leaving the main square, you were caught by pro-regime thugs. You were taken prisoner, and then, as it says here, but that's not the end of the story. And so let me backtrack a little bit before I do click continue and say, though, that if you had made other choices, those other choices would have taken you on different timelines or on different branches. And so one of the things I like to think about the way I like to think about the learning, the lesson activity, is it's like the branches on a tree. And so you start with the trunk, which is the first page, and then from there it branches out to very unique experiences and unique paths for each student. So let's go ahead and click continue. And now we have this is the essay question page and the essay question type. And so this is where the student is allowed to write an alternate ending of the story. And so based on what has happened prior to this, then they can continue the story. And so this is also my opportunity to demo some of those new features that I spoke of. And so, in addition to just adding text, the student can also insert an image, and this image can be from the internet, as in, a URL, or you can just browse a repository, upload a file, and choose a file from your desktop or, from your local computer. And you click upload, and off you go. You can also, the student can add a description, just the size or the alignment of the image. The student can also insert media, and this media is very variable. You can insert, links to websites, web pages, links to PDFs found on the internet, or any kind of file that may be present on the internet. Or again, just like the image, you can directly upload it from your local computer. And as you can see here, there's if you have it configured, you can select from YouTube. But you can also do that through the video URL. Is you just go to YouTube, find the share, and the share URL, throw it in there, and off you go. You can, again, browse repositories and upload the video onto your, directly from your computer. This is probably best if it were like an MP4 file or something like that. With the video, you do have some display options. You can enter the title. You can adjust the size of the video. You can even add a thumbnail. We have some advanced settings here. You can toggle show controls, play automatically, whether it's muted or not, and you can put it on a loop. And last, you can, let me scroll down. You can add some subtitles, captions, descriptions, metadata. There's a lot of other things here you can do. So once you finish, you insert that media and you're set. Last, you can insert audio. And so basically this is very similar to a video. You can pull it in from the internet. You can upload it directly from your computer. And you have similar options here. Not quite as many, but similar options as the video. And so you can enter title, toggle these different settings and add subtitles and captions. Now, let's talk about recording audio. And this is where things get really exciting. And so as a student, you can record audio directly in the Moodle interface. And so you just click the record audio button, and then you can just start recording. And as you see, there is a limit of 2 minutes for each recording, but it's amazing what you can say in 2 minutes. So we can just stop the recording, we'll attach it, and there you go. We see it down here at the bottom. And then last, we can record a video in the same way that we recorded the audio. We just click start recording and then attach the recording, and well, that's it. So I'm not going to do a video recording though. So once the student has
Come on,
finished,
Daniel. You don't want to show us your handsome face? All right. You get a
I'll pass. I'll pass.
Okay.
Thank you. So once the student has finished making the response, in this case, creating their alternate ending, they would click submit. And so then, depending on, you earn 2 out of 4 automatically grade questions. So, questions can be graded or not graded within the lesson module. And so now, I've already logged in as a teacher. And so I'll give you the teacher's perspective here. So as a teacher, you do have some more options. The view is very similar to that of the students, but you do have some options here where you can preview the lesson, you can edit the lesson. And so basically here are all of the different pages within the lesson, content page, question page. And so you see that here they are in sequential order, but depending on the jumps, you can jump all over the place. And so it doesn't have to, and it rarely does work in this sequential order. You can do reports, and unfortunately, well, we do have one report. I was going to say we don't have any reports, but yes, we do have one report from Joe's student. And so you can see some basic statistics here. And so, this is where you can see the basic statistics, or you can see detailed statistics based on the page. And so, what responses they made and how long they stayed on each page. And so, but let's go ahead and move on to grade essays. And this is where, again, the new features become used. And so we can just click on the submission made by Joe's student, and you see that the question name, what the student's response was. You see any kind of media they inserted or recorded, but at the same time, so now the teacher can leave their own comments and then grade the essay. But in leaving their comments, just like the student could, they can insert and edit an image, insert media, videos, audios. They can make their own recording and their own audio recording, and then they can make their own video recording. So basically, well, that's it for the new features in the lesson module. I just want to say that I hope I have inspired some of you to go out and, go create a lesson, an adaptive learning experience with the lesson module. It really is a fun way to learn. So
yeah, great job, Daniel.
And educate. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and the questions have been pouring in, Daniel. I just want to forewarn you that the questions have been pouring in. Everybody's really excited about what you showed. So thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
And thanks for also being a hard act to follow, because now I have to talk to you guys about badges. So I'll try to fill those shoes.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take presenter from you. And if you guys could just confirm for me that you see this faux course influencing others. That look good to you?
Sure does.
Okay, so I have the pleasure of talking about badges, which secretly makes me happy, because badges, it's really no secret, but they're one of my favorite features in Moodle. For a number of reasons. 1, they're really flexible. 2, you can get really creative with them. And 3, they do so much more outside of Moodle. So for me, they're really just one of those things that can can take your courses and push them over the top. So I wanted to start out by talking about how to set up a badge, because when I meet with clients for training, that seems to be a sticking point sometimes, is they're not really quite sure how to even get started. So I want to start with that, and then I'm going to make sure that I dive into what's new and what should you know. So I'm going to just kind of preface the presentation with that, but show you, how to go about it from here. So I created a test course that we could kind of use to play around. If you are starting from scratch and this is your first time creating a badge, you're going to go into your course administration menu. So for this particular course in this particular site, I'm using a gear icon far top right, and I'm going to go into my administration menu from here by clicking more. And then I have a section for badges. When I'm starting from scratch and I have nothing set up yet, I need to click add a new badge. This presents a page that's pretty familiar for those of us that have worked in Moodle, right? Name and describe, very much a repeated process. So those are the first two required fields. I always advise that our clients give this badge a very specific name, something identifiable, so that going forward, you know what it was issued for, why it was issued, something that will trigger something in your memory so that you have an idea of what it was aligned for. So you would first input that particular field. Some of the new features here, not new to 3.7, but new to 3.6, is version and language. So for a lot of our clients, they'll do something like a reoccurring annual course. It might be something that's required every year, like sexual harassment training, or just like in the field training, things that are repeatable, but you have to do over and over every year to recertify. So that's a great reason to use the version, so that you can say, this might be our 2019 version of said badge, or 2020 version of said badge, that kind of thing. The language field is also new. You can tie a particular language to the badge if that's appropriate. It's not a required field, so you can let that be. You can see required versus not required by the exclamation point. So if I hover there, it says it's required. That leads me to the description field. This is another field that I always advise people use, and use quite heavily. So for example, what I'm looking for in this field is, why was the badge issued? What is it for? What does it align to? So, for example, you've completed eThink Academy's Make the Most of New Features course, and you were a superstar. Therefore, this badge has been awarded to you, that kind of thing. I want to know why the badge was issued. What do we need to know about that when we as supervisors or teachers are looking into the badges that a particular learner has in their profile. From there, you choose an image. This is something of your choosing. You can see that there are accepted file types, so you'll pick an image in one of those types. Also newer fields is image author information. So name, email, URL. Did someone on your team build this and you want to give them credit? Did you pull this off of an adjoining site that might be, a sister site of your organization that you want to give them credit for? Not required fields, but optional and new as of 3.6. The last required field is the issuer details in terms of the name. So for example, eThink Education provided this to you for doing XYZ. You would want to note eThink Education. We have seen this run the gamut of the teacher's name or even the organization's name. So maybe your overall university or college or your overall corporation. That just completely varies and is per your preference. The last thing that I just briefly want to touch on, and again, because badges are something that are relatively underused or not as understood as I think they should be, so I'm trying to go quick, but expiration. So if you have that reoccurring course, that was a bit of a tongue tie, that every, sort of annual year, you're redoing that set of expectations, you can set an expiration so that the one from 2019 is clearly marked as ending December 31st, 2019. Therefore, 2020 would take over. So you can issue a date if that's something that makes sense, or you can leave it as the expiration never happens and it's something that has been awarded to the user and therefore they deserve it all the time. So really quickly, a couple of the new features there. I wanted to start with that sort of explanation. I'm not entering any data here because I already have one set up for you whereby we can dive into the criteria, which is very much what's new right now for 3.7. So I created a badge for influencing others. You can see that I have a column here for criteria, and I've noted that nothing's been set up yet. That's perfectly okay. There's a gear icon here where I can pick up and finish this off. So if I dig into the settings of the badge, I can see all of those fields that we just talked about. So I've already inputted some of that information. I have an image, I have a description, etc. And I have a tab here for criteria. And this is really where the meat of the badge issuing comes into play. We have to decide what allows for a user to earn that badge. Why do they deserve it? That's the criteria. So if you click that tab, you'll see there's a drop-down menu. Newest feature here is competencies. So if you have built competencies into your course, you will have the opportunity to align those competencies and the completion of said competencies to trigger the badge. So I'll make that choice. Next screen prompts me to say, well, which competencies? Or maybe just one. You get to pick and choose. So if I click into my drop-down menu, you can see I've just built 3 samples. I can choose one or I can choose all of them. Really just depends on your use case. However, if you choose more than one thing that's important to note is that you must indicate the badge and the issuing of that badge is set on criterion, and when is that criterion complete? Could any of the competencies have been completed and therefore your user deserves the badge, or do all of them need to be completed? And in most cases, especially when we meet with clients, it's all of these expectations. So I'll go ahead and change that. You have another field here for description. In every practice I've ever seen, this is left blank. It's just an extra user field that you're happy to use, but I would say 99% of the time it's okay to leave this blank because you have the description field in the main setup of the badge. So I'll go ahead and save, because the last thing I want to tell you is we have this warning, center of the page. Hey, guess what? Great job. You set up that badge, but it's not currently available. So final step for you is to click to enable access to the badge. If I toggle that button, Moodle will say, make sure you're serious, make sure you're ready. You'll say, yep, no problem, let's continue on. We want this to be available. And then we get the green light all around. Second biggest piece about badges is Open Badges 2.0. So that's another biggie with Moodle 3.7. So we saw Open Badges 2.0 supported in Moodle last version 3.6, but there's even more happening now in version 3.7. For those of you that aren't familiar with that term, I thought I would back up a little bit and talk to you about what that really means, and then walk you through even more so how we're seeing that implemented in 3.7. So I'm going to go back here a second. Actually, let me go. Let's see, the easiest way. All right, scrap that. I know you got this. So, support for Open Badges 2.0, it means that badges now include that language and version, which you saw a moment ago when I was looking at the overview page. We had the option to choose those particular pieces. We also have other criteria for things like related badges or the competencies I showed you. These endorsements here. So all of those pieces are extras that we now have available to us with badges in versions 3.6 and 3.7. And like I said, 3.7 just continues this momentum. These criteria, they work the same way as previously offered criteria. As you saw me demonstrate a moment ago, choose your criteria, set what that is, save it, and enable it. So it's really not different there. It's just we have so much more available to us. The other piece with Open Badges 2.0 is the fact that there's more support for pushing badges outside of Moodle and into a social media platform of your choosing. This is huge. So the push here really is to say that learning does not just happen in a bubble. It doesn't just happen in Moodle. It happens all across the board. So if we do something in Moodle and we accomplish something in Moodle, we might want to share that with our professional or educational community. And now we can. And we do that through use of what's called a backpack. So a backpack, learners can use that to take their achievements with them outside of Moodle, which further supports their educational journey. So what does that really mean? Well, if you're within Moodle and you go into your profile, the menu alongside, and you go into your preferences, you'll notice that you have a section here for badges. So you have backpack settings, you can manage your own badges, take a look at what you've earned, and then there's some preferences associated with this, like, how do you want these to be displayed, etc. But one thing that's brand new with Moodle 3.7 is we have another backpack offering available to us, and that's called Badger. Previously, it was just Mozilla Backpack that we could use to kind of tie like that external piece to Moodle and vice versa, and then use that Mozilla Backpack platform to push out to social media. Now we have another option through Badger. So the first thing I want to say is to use either of these platforms, you have to create an account on their site first, and then you use that to link to your Moodle profile, and you do that through your preferences. So I want to say, yes, nailed it. I clicked the right one the first time. So under your backpack settings, you can see that I have connected my Moodle backpack to my Mozilla backpack. You can see that because I know this is the URL to them. You can see I'm connected. I've used an email address of my random choosing. Usually you'll find Moodle wants to match your Moodle email address to whatever you use for Mozilla or Badger. They want to know you're one and the same person. They want to know you're not faking it. So you'll find that that's part of the process. But once you do that, they align, you'll see it's connected, and then you can share. And that's really the point of Open Badges 2.0, is to take learning, take proof of concepts and mastery outside of just one individual Moodle bubble and showcase that to your professional community. Whew. Okay, I feel like I talked for a while. I have another piece to do here, so what I'm going to do is pause for a second and pause my screen share and then pull up the rest of what we have for you today, and then we will start to wrap things up. So give me 1 second, please. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, so our thoughts for today are, hopefully you loved everything you heard. Hopefully you're really excited about Moodle 3.7. If you would like to talk to eThink a little bit more, we wanted you to know that we attend a number of different conferences. Some of them are here, some of them are upcoming, some of them have been recently held, but we'd love to see you. So I would like to pause here a moment and hope to talk about some of the Q&A that has come up since we've been presenting. So let me go ahead and open the questions pane, and I'll probably pass to you first, Daniel, if you're ready. We had a couple of questions come in about the lesson, some of which I've passed to you, some of which are probably new because I was speaking. So where are you at? Are you ready to go? Do you want me to repeat anything to you?
Well, yeah, would you...
Yeah, sure can. Okay.
Yeah, just repeat the question and I'll be happy to answer it.
Got it. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so, and this one, I mean, I was challenged by this, admittedly. So they say, with the choose your own adventure learning path, does the teacher see the path that the student took? Are you aware of whether or not that's the case?
And the answer to that is an absolute yes. If you remember, when I went into the reports tab, then you can see exactly what path, what choices the student made, the questions they answered and how they answered them, and then the path that they took. Yep.
That's perfect. Another comment, this is really more of a comment, not necessarily a question. And actually, let me back up to say that the same person that proposed this was also trying to select which path you would take as you were walking through the lesson. So we had a lot of engagement there, you know, pick this, no, choose this. Oh, shucks, you know, I wanted you to choose another path. So that was really cool. But they mentioned that they too advocate for the use of the lesson activity, and especially have lately been connecting that to universal design, which I think is amazing. And it's something that we're seeing happen a lot through the MEC that we're hosting through the eThink Academy. I wasn't sure if there was any other thoughts that came to mind for you, Daniel, with your experience, or if just to say that definitely, you know, it's a great way to.
Yeah, it's an incredible tool, without a doubt, and you know, it's so robust and it's so powerful that it has so much potential, and so you know, you can create lessons specific to a student, and then also with the introduction of these new features, you know, one of the things I mentioned was that it can incorporate different learning styles, and so now students have the ability to be creative and to use that in their responses, at least with essay questions. And so, you know, if they feel more comfortable just recording an audio, that they can do so, or if they want to leave a video, or if simply they just want to leave text. And so really it does allow the student to really engage with the content. And so I really do encourage you to just go out there and to create some lessons.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Daniel. I'm really excited for your presentation because as you mentioned, Lesson is an underused tool. Now we have even more available to us, and I think it just entices us all to use it to its fullest potential and take advantage of the newer, you know, kind of like in-house features that it offers. So it's perfect. We have a couple of questions coming in about badges. So can completion of a set of courses within Moodle be linked to a badge? Yes, absolutely. Another reason I love badges. You just do that a little differently. So you can build a badge at the course level, and if you did it that way, you would tie in the activities within that one course, and it would kind of live on its own, if you will. If you wanted to tie in a set of courses, then you would build the badge at the site level. And then as an administrator, you would have the opportunity to say which courses should align to said badge. So yes, absolutely possible. Something a lot of our clients are doing. That's really great. We have a couple of questions from clients regarding 3.7. We'll follow up with you individually. I have a little note as to who you are, what kind of questions you have. So we'll make sure to get back to you. Another question was, has the dashboard changed any for 3.7? No. The big change with the dashboard was in 3.6. Nothing different with 3.7. And then Chuck, for eThink, is there a bank of badges that, you know, we provide? Yes and no. There's a lot we do for our asynchronous training courses, but we can get with you on that. So I think that's probably it. I'm going back through the list of questions, and admittedly, I am a bit behind the 8 ball because Daniel, Cindy, and Chris can't see the questions pane. So I'm running solo. So Scott,
I just want to add to the question that was about attachments. Yeah, so there was a question about attachments to the messages. It's not possible at the minute. I say at the minute, we might see that in the future. But what I will add is that you can paste in links to resources that are in your Moodle, and Moodle will do the auto linking, so that will become a link, a clickable link for the recipient, so you don't have to do any HTML or anything silly like that. And also, if you paste in a YouTube link, that will render that YouTube video in the messaging pane as well. So that's a nice little thing as well. So they sort of built that auto linking into the messaging system.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's really good to know.
It is really cool. And just to add to Daniel's lesson as well, he mentioned about learning styles. The lesson activity is a great thing for differentiation as well. So if you've got students of different ability levels, you can build that right into the lesson and take them on different paths to suit their their ability level and differentiate that content and that level that you're pitching at, and then hopefully you'll be able to uplift those students who are maybe towards the bottom end of the ability scale and gradually work them towards the higher ability things. And I totally agree, the lesson is a very underused, powerful tool, and I really enjoyed Daniel's lesson. It was superb.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, one other thing. So as we wrap up, I have to give our little Tucker a shout out. So another thing I want to mention is if you want to talk to us more personally about our services, I mentioned we're at conferences, but you can also reach out to Josh Mitchell, our sales director. He's really not quite as cute as the furry guy on the right. That's our eThink mascot and VIP Tucker. And even though Josh is not quite as cute as Tucker, he's very knowledgeable about all things eThink, and he'd be happy to answer questions. So we really do encourage you to reach out should you have any. So I'll pause here, give everybody a minute to take a look at that. I'll take a look at last minute questions, but really, truly, we just want to thank you for being here. And if there's anything else we can do for you, please don't hesitate to let us know in the questions pane before you go. And Chris, Cindy, Daniel, thank you. You guys rocked it. Appreciate you very much.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, Vanessa. You did
Thank
amazing
you so
as well.
Thanks. All right, guys. All right, everybody. I'll stay on for another minute just in case there's any questions, but thank you, everybody, for being here. It's really a pleasure. One of the best parts of our day. So thanks again. You're welcome. Thank you.